Good morning, guys. I had to do a re-intro on this. I'm doing a 98 Lexus ES300. I pulled the plenum and intake manifold out of here. There's a ton of hoses. There's 3 grounds that you got to be mindful of on the back of that plenum that go to a wire, then 2 to the block. Removing the plenum is, I believe, T45 or 12 millimeter socket. You can use either one on those bolts that go through, and then you'll need the 12 millimeter on the nuts that are on the end. The longer bolts go to the middle, the shorter bolts are on the outside. The biggest problem I had with this, it took me damn near an hour to get it out, was this EGR here. This bolt that's in the back here is right by this engine mount, right by the plenum bracket, and you can't get in there. The only way I was able to get in there was with a 1/4-inch drive wobble extension, and I just barely got it out of there. When I pulled it out, the studs came out. The nuts didn't come off. They were frozen on the studs, and the whole stud came out. So I had to order new studs, and I got a couple of extra nuts because I'm assuming I'm gonna lose a couple trying to get that on there. That is such a bitch to get to. So be mindful that you're gonna have a little bit of a headache with that, but also be mindful when you remove your intake manifold, you're gonna have 4 spacers. They're plastic spacers that go right here where the fuel rail hooks up. I thought I lost one of them. It wound up going down into one of the intake ports. Thank God it didn't go down into a cylinder or something. I don't think it would have fit past the valve, but I thought I lost that. Me and my neighbor were out here for over an hour and a half. I spent about looking for it in the grass here. You can see all the leaves are raked to the side. I thought I dropped it over there because I felt something hit my foot, but that must have been a twig or a pine cone or something. But I wound up dropping it in the engine when I took it off. So go slow, be mindful of all the little bits and bobs there. I would suggest cleaning this out with throttle body cleaner or carb cleaner. Clean your throttle body while you got it out, and your intake runners. I did that on the plenum. I also sprayed out the intake manifold. Acetone is a good cleaner for cleaning around your mating surfaces for your gaskets. All right, I'm going to give you all of the specs for the torque specs for this, and I'm also going to give you the tightening sequences for the bolts. I did this yesterday when I was filming, and some kind of glitch happened where that video didn't save. I'm sorry. I posted a partial of this to YouTube, but I'm gonna repost it with this. If you're doing this job, I'm assuming you know enough about working on engines to get this out yourself. Just be mindful of that EGR. That's gonna be the real challenge there. I had to loosen the EGR bolts, the nuts on the front of the plenum, to give it a little bit of play so I could move around a little bit in there. But you'll work it out. I would suggest that you replace your gaskets while you're at it. I got those coming. They should be here tomorrow. So there's a little bit of a delay on this engine, but I'm sure the guy would rather have it done right and get it back a day or 2 late instead of having the job half-assed. So I don't do half-assed work. I take my time. I do it right. I want my job to be done once with no comeback. So I'm also going to be doing the fuel injectors while I'm in here. So now I'm going to get a vacuum cleaner and vacuum out this valley in here because a mouse was having a party in there. There's a nest in there, and I'm thinking that the this had a code for a bad knock sensor 1. I'm thinking the mouse might have had a little party on the harness for the knock sensor. We'll find that out after we vacuum that out and get that bypass hose out of there, and we can see what's going on. Okay. Hi guys. I don't know what in the hell is happening with my other camera, but I've lost all my footage from this morning. I was doing the knock sensors on here, Let me go find out what size socket that was. All right, the socket I used on the knock sensors was a 1 1/16 on my 1/2 inch drive. I was able to get on there with the socket and get them off. I had to whack them with a hammer because I did not want to round them out. That's where the 1 knock sensor is. Here's the other one on that side. If you're using a crescent wrench or the socket, give it a whack with a hammer so you don't round it out. The shock will release them. What I did is I put a new wiring harness on here as well because they tend to fail from all the heat. And I replaced the bypass hose. These clamps are nice. Once you depress them, they lock in the open position, so you can get them off and put them on your new hose. I recommend using silicone spray on the hose. Put some on the hose, it'll help you get it on there. It just lubes it up and slips it on, and silicone is not bad for rubber. Petroleum based sprays like WD-40 or PB Blaster, do not use them on rubber and plastics. They destroy them. They are not good for them. This plug here was a freaking nightmare. You got to depress this piece right here and pop that out. Then in the back, you got to get around there with a little pick tool and depress the center piece to slide it off of this bracket. Now, we were pushing on this. We couldn't get it apart. The plug got a little deformed. It kind of lost its memory. So what I did is I warmed it up in the up position and let it cool, but I just inserted this piece of plastic in here. I made like a lock so this thing stays in there. It's not going to come loose. I was afraid of that vibrating loose. So I spent over an hour on that damn plug. Next, I got out my intake manifold gaskets. They do run under this filler fixture here where you fill the radiator fluid. There are 2 bolts and 2 nuts that are 12 millimeter. You can use a T45 on the 2 bolts, but you can just go with a 12 millimeter and you'll get all 4 of them off. Make sure you plug your intake ports and also your water jacket ports. You don't want to get debris down in your port where the water jackets are for the engine coolant. I vacuumed this out thoroughly. There was a mouse house in here. I'm gonna look. I don't know the torque spec for this. It may be included in the pattern for the intake manifold. I'm guessing it would be the same torque spec because it's on the same gasket. Now I have to try to get this O2 sensor out. That is sensor 1, bank 1 in the back there. That's going to be real fun to get to. I have been soaking that repeatedly for the last 3 days with PB Blaster. I'm hoping I got a shot on getting it out. I have this type of tool. It's an O2 sensor socket, and it goes on a 1/2 inch drive ratchet. So I'm going to try to get it out with that. I'm not going to push it to the point that I round that out. If that starts to happen, what I will do is get a regular socket on there. I'll cut the wire, get a regular socket on there, and use a torch and heat the bung up to cherry red and try to back it out then. This is really not a comfortable spot to work in. There was some kind of a hanger for the O2 sensor plug, but I don't see it here. I don't know what happened to it. The plug is not on it. Somebody might have taken this apart and lost it, or it broke or rotted out or something. I don't know where it is, but they zip tied it to that line right there. I don't know if you can see that down there. That O2 sensor's got a zip tie on it, so I'm gonna have to cut that and see how this plug goes. I'm hoping this is not going to be a nightmare to get undone the way some of them are. I don't know why they make these plugs so damn complicated to disconnect. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to cut that zip tie now. Just trying to get my light here where I can see. I don't want to cut a wire. There goes the zip tie. Maybe I can get a better look at this plug now. Looks like the press is on the top there. Alright, I gotta put this camera on the side. I'm sorry I missed filming a lot of this stuff. Before I go ahead with that, let me just tell you what I did with the intake manifold surfaces. I took brake clean and throttle body cleaner, and I used what's called a Doka disc. It's a small disc that comes on a head that fits on a drill, and they are like a Scotch-Brite. I used one of my used ones that wasn't that abrasive anymore because it had been used, and I kind of just polished those up. You want to make sure that your mating surfaces for your gaskets are very clean. Clean your intake manifold thoroughly, all the mating surfaces, and your plenum. Do not rush when it comes to that, because you will have a leak. You will have either an intake leak or a coolant leak, and that is no good, because then you got to go through disassembling this nightmare all over again. So I spent 3 hours on this morning so far. Then I needed to break for lunch. My back was on fire, so it's 2:45 now. So I'm starting back on this for what I can get done today. I'm going to try to get that O2 sensor out. Okay guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to continue this. Well, I just spent about 40 minutes on this. I tried these two sockets, these two types of O2 sensor sockets, and neither one of them can get a bite on it enough. They spin on it. I don't want to round it out anymore. Well, it's not rounded out yet, so I don't want to round it out. Remember I told you that one connector was hanging on a zip tie? At closer inspection, look at what I found. Two of the wires are broken off. They probably got fatigued from not bouncing around. Let me get a light. You could see those two wires, the black and I believe the blue wire. The black and the blue wire are not even connected. So that O2 sensor could still be working. I might have been given a code because of those two wires, but I would think while I'm down here he would want me to get that out of there. That is going to be a bitch to get in there with a torch, boy. I hope that's not a hose next to that. It's not a hose, is it? No. Can't be a hose. I'm gonna go look at the engine diagrams on this to make sure that that's not a rubber hose. If it is a rubber hose, I'm not gonna be able to get in there with a torch because I'll burn that hose. I don't know what I'll do then. This job turned out to be much more complicated than I had anticipated. It's been one trial and tribulation after the next with this. It's been rough. Well, from 1998, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, you know? So, have patience, think, don't go wrecking shit worse than what it is. Let me go look at that engine diagram and see if I can find out if that's a coolant pipe or a coolant hose. Maybe I can get in there with a small welding tip and isolate the heat right on that bung and get on there. I'll cut the wires off of the O2 sensor. That way I can get a regular socket on there. I do believe it's a 16 millimeter. I could be wrong with that. Don't hold me to that. I'll try to size it up to the O2 sensors. I think it's 16 mil. Might be bigger. We'll see. But I know a regular socket will bite that tighter than these things. and I'll be able to get a better turn on that without rounding that out. Right, let me go look at that book. Well, I used the oxyacetylene torch to get in there. I couldn't do it even with the burning head on there, the cutting torch. I had to put the welding tip on there. It was smaller, so I was able to get in there. I heated that bung cherry red on that O2 sensor, and with a couple of times I got it out. It's a rough place to get to that. And now the wires on the plug that come from the main harness are breaking apart. They're all crusty and green. Two of them weren't even connected to the plug, and then just disturbing it, a third one broke. But you can see they were broke for a long time. It's all green inside there, so I'm hoping those wires are in good shape so I can cut them back a little bit and solder in a new connector on there. So I'm waiting for that from the dealership. That should be here on a Friday. Today is Wednesday, so I'll be looking up wiring diagrams tonight and tomorrow, trying to figure out the colors of those wires and which way they go, so the O2 sensor works after we finally get it in. All right, guys, so it's been an exciting day. Tomorrow, I guess I'll be doing some things. I'll probably start putting that intake manifold back in, and I can do the injectors and the fuel rail. So there are other things that I can do while waiting on these parts. So we'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, hang in there. Put your dick in a vise. Hello, guys. I had an O2 sensor on a 96 Lexus ES300. The chassis connector, the chassis wire sides of the connector were broken. I went crazy finding the right diagram that matched the color, but I finally got it. So we're using these low temperature solder connectors. This is what they look like right here. You can get them on Amazon or eBay. Pre-soldered connectors. They're pretty good. You just put them on, hit them with a torch. The colored rings are waterproof sealant. Yeah, my dog is out here. Honey, she's my little helper. She always stays out and helps me whenever I'm working on stuff. It's my little buddy. One of my little best friends. Trying to mesh these wires together so they intertwine. Can I borrow your fingers again, Larry?
Just let him rest down there, that's it.
Right there. Thank you. It's hard to do this by yourself.
No, you need 2 hands. 6 hands you need. Need 6 hands.
I gotta get heated slow enough that the solder gets hot without burning the connector, you know?
Yeah. That's nice because it's all contained in there, huh?
Everything, yeah.
That's nice.
Great idea, right?
Yeah. soldered the radiator of my Chrysler that time, and I was using the wrong solder. I had to get acid core, and I didn't know.
Oh, the
radiator on the car.
The flux.
Yeah, it says acid core brand. That's what you gotta have. I looked in Lowe's and it showed which one it said for radiators and shit.
Yeah.
Got it, huh?
Yep, you just gotta let it cool off.
Oh,
Those take
yeah.
a little while to cool off.
They cool in about 2 minutes with them wires don't stay hot very long.
That's how you do those pre-soldered connectors. I hope you guys got to see that. They are a great little addition for repairs. I love them. Save you a lot of headaches. All right, guys, I'll be making more videos on putting this back together. The issues with this car was it had fault for O2 sensor, bank 1 sensor 1, knock sensor number 1. So while I was in there, I replaced both knock sensors and the harness. You also want to replace the bypass hose that's right here. The knock sensors are under the intake manifold. You have to take off the intake, the plenum. That's good, you could let that go. You have to take off the plenum, the intake manifold, your fuel rail. I'm replacing the fuel injectors while I'm at it. This has over 100,000 miles on it, and some of these injectors looked real bad. So, all right, guys, there'll be more videos. Thanks for watching and thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, we broke 900 subscribers. I want to thank all you guys. You're the guys that make our channel. All right, keep it up. Hit that notification bell and please subscribe. And remember, take good care of your cars. They'll take good care of you. Let me give you guys the part numbers. This is the wires for the O2 sensor. That's the part numbers on that. Terminal repair. And then this was the plug. Housing connector. Got those numbers, and then 909 80 11 028. Then I have the EGR gaskets. That's the numbers for the EGR gaskets. Sorry for the glare, guys. Then I had to replace the studs and the nuts on there. This is the price they charged me on this. My house is a wreck. Whoever wants to criticize it, kiss my ass. That's the part numbers right there and the total price. I was lucky I got it at net, $121.31 for that. But you do what you got to do, right, guys? Okay guys, I'm going to give you the order on these wires. I don't know if I gave you this. Top left with the clip on the top, it's black and orange. The one next to that, top, blue and black. Bottom left, brown. 3, white. This is what you looking at the back of the clip in this position. So the numbers are this way. It's 1 and 3 on the right side, 1 being on the top where the clip is, then 2 and 4 with 2 on the top on the left side, 4 on the bottom left hand corner. Okay, that's how you rewire in bank 1 sensor 1 if your connector is broken. I hope this helps somebody. Thanks again for watching. If you are doing your knock sensors on this, or that bypass hose, or anything that's led to you taking the plenum off this car, and especially intake manifold as well, I would recommend doing your spark plugs. I'm putting in original NKGR plugs in here. Premiums, part number is BKR6EKPB113452. Laser platinums. These are the OE plugs that came in here. When you torque them in, they're 13 foot-pounds or 156 inch-pounds. I'm going by inch-pounds. To get the coils off, it's just a couple of little 10mm bolts. This is pretty self-explanatory, how to do spark plugs, so that's the specs on the torque. 13 foot-pounds or 156 inch-pounds, okay? I am using a ever so slight dab of copper never sees. Some people will frown upon this, others will agree. It's what I do. So, I don't know, everybody's got opinions, right? I believe in the copper never sees. Just don't go crazy with it if you use it, all right, guys? Something small but very important. If you're new to doing this, never start the spark plugs with a ratchet. Put them in hand tight first. Run them in with your hand. If you don't have a long extension, another great way of doing this with a piece of vacuum hose on the plug, just twisting it in there. But you're going to need an extension to do these. They're down in there. But definitely run them in until they're snug by hand, so you're sure you're not cross-threading them. Okay, guys? Just something to keep in mind. Okay, guys, I'm doing this backwards because all the footage I did of disassembling this engine got corrupted and went to crap. I'm hoping the same thing doesn't happen with this. I'm going to try to film it, putting it back together. Excuse me, let me get the crud off the lens. So, I just got done, all right, on this engine, just to give you a rundown again if I haven't done it. The problems with this engine were bank 1, sensor 1, O2 sensor, or air fuel ratio sensor is what it actually is, says Lexus. That is located on this side of the engine, right by the firewall. It's not easy to get to. You can't get to it from the bottom. You got to kind of pull the plenum out to get to that. You see that silver down there? All right, this wire was broken. 3 of those 4 wires were broken off on that plug. I had to solder in new wires and a new plug that I had to get from the Lexus dealer. That was $120 something for 4 wires and a plug and a couple of EGR gaskets. This was one of the hardest parts of disassembling this engine, was getting this EGR off from the back because of the angle of this bracket here. It's right in your way, right here. It's crazy. I got to see if I got a swivel universal for getting back in there with a 1/4 inch. You can only do it with a 1/4 inch drive. All right. So, getting back to what was wrong, it was the bank 1 sensor 1 on the O2 sensor. He had a check engine light, and he also had a check engine light for NOx sensor 1. The NOx sensors are located under the intake manifold. There are 2 of them, and they are connected to this harness. If you are going to do your NOx sensors on this car, buy Denso original equipment NOx sensors. Get a new harness. I got both of those, a set of 2 Denso NOx sensors and a harness on eBay for $19.99. You can't beat that price. They're Denso. People frown upon eBay. Hey, it's the OE NOx sensors. You're a fool if you go pay more somewhere else. If they're Denso, they're Denso, no matter where you get them. All right, so I've done the harness and the NOx sensors, and I also replaced that bypass hose that's under there. I've just started to put in the intake manifold now. I just slightly snugged it down a little bit. Now I'm going to follow a torque sequence on tightening this up. Let me tell you what the torque is on this. You got to do it on a couple of increments. Don't do it all in one shot. Have a little patience for me, guys. All right, the intake manifold bolts and nuts, there's a couple of nuts, are 132 inch-pounds. The intake plenum bolts or nuts are 32 foot-pounds. I will convert that to inch-pounds and do it in inch-pounds. The intake plenum brace bolts are 168 inch-pounds. Those are these braces back here. Those 2 of them. they're 168 inch-pounds. All right, so I'm going to start tightening this down in increments with the tightening sequence that's in the book. I follow the rules, guys, when I do engine work now on these cars. Everything's aluminum, warps easily. You can run into problems just winging it. So it doesn't hurt to spend a little extra time following the manufacturer's recommendations, right? Those are 12 millimeter. Let me get my 12 millimeter extension. What the hell did I do with it? Here it is. I need my longer one, I think. I just snugged them down with the 1/4 inch power driver. I didn't even go hard with them at all. Get them in there a little bit. What did I say, 132? Man, my mind is a sieve. I think it was 132 inch-pounds, right? I gotta look again. I'm old. When you get old, stuff doesn't stay with you. 132 inch-pounds. Right, this goes up to 120 is the lowest setting on here, so I'm not even going to go to that. I'm just going to snug it in that sequence a little bit as I go around, feeling it. Then we will go to 120, and then we'll go to 132. All right, there goes a picture of the sequence. This one right here is number 1. Snug that a little bit. Number 2 is this far nut back here. Snug that a little bit. Where's number 3? Number 3, this one here. Snug that a little bit. Then we go to 4. I put paper towels in the intake, you notice, because when you're lifting a socket up, sometimes it'll pop off, then it goes down in the engine, and then you're screwed. You got big problems. So it's better off to put something in there to prevent debris or a socket to falling in there. Better to be safe than sorry, I say. I think we can go right to 132 on the next sequence here. Ate that nut? Yep. That's to 120. Oh, I missed that one. All right. Now we're going to 132 on here. Number 4. 5, 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, 10, and then 11, the nut on the end. Don't forget to torque down this filler neck as well. That has to be torqued as well. Alright guys, that's how you tighten in the intake manifold on a 1996 ES300 Lexus. Guys, I screwed up. I got into a bullshit session with my neighbor while I was working. I just put the fuel rail back in after I did the intake manifold. What I did is I took some silicone lubricant. Do not use anything petroleum based as a lubricant on your O-rings. You will make them dry up and break. It will destroy them. Only use silicone based lubricant. Put a little bit of silicone based lubricant on the upper and lower O-rings. Just work them in there nicely. Then gently seat your fuel rail on top. Don't forget to put your spacers in. I almost made that mistake. And then just go crisscross back and forth, snugging down your fuel rail. You don't have to go crazy with it, and be gentle with your plugs. They're old. Okay guys, that's how you do the fuel injectors and get the fuel rail done on that. Hi guys, we're back again on this Lexus ES300. Yesterday I installed the intake manifold, the fuel injectors, the fuel rail. I did the spark plugs, the wires. I installed sensor 1, bank 1, O2 sensor, and I soldered those wires in to reinstall the body harness connector. Now I'm getting ready to put the plenum back in. Now on this car, the biggest hassle I had was getting this EGR off of here. The way they got this set up, you can hardly get to this nut on here from this bracket, and the nuts were frozen to the studs. So I loosened up the studs and nuts off of this side of the EGR. I'm going to put one stud in there and leave myself some play, and hopefully it'll go together a little easier with a little movement. I don't know if I'm going to try putting the studs in the EGR first or not. I'm not sure which route I'm going with that yet, but oh God, his EGR is filthy. We better clean that while we're at it, right? That is horrible in there. Look at that, that's all clogged up. I'm gonna get some throttle body cleaner and clean that up. Our gasket on there for this side. I'm gonna try to run a stud in. I'm gonna leave this loose. That'll help me get this on here. I better get that other stud in there too. Nah, that won't be too bad of. Let me put that stud in too. I don't want to wind up dropping these. I don't have extras. We'll get that stud in there and see if we have much play. That still gives me a lot of play. So we're gonna leave those nuts off of there. We'll just run those studs back in. That EGR was really clogged up with carbon. I scraped all that shit out of there. If you got to pull these studs out, they're an E-Torx and E5. Just in case you have to do that. I'm trying to do this job one time right, where there's no comeback. We didn't want an EGR leak. Throw in another check engine light. Sometimes you disturb these things and they won't seal back up correctly. Gaskets were cheap enough. Doesn't take that long to do. Now I'm going to try putting the new studs into the back of this EGR. I think I have enough play here now to where I'll be able to do that with those nuts off. Let me go get those studs set in there. Number for those studs. Anybody needs them? Go up in the back here. Wanted to start earlier today, but it's windy. It was kind of cold with the wind blowing. I didn't want to freeze my ass off out here. I'm getting too old to deal with that shit. I feel it. Not like when you're in your 20s. Get this crap all out of here. Don't need those anymore. Alright, let me just get this plenum set up and in there. Beck and Arnley intake manifold. Plenum gasket 0376182. That's the number on that. Beck and Arnley, I've had good luck with their parts. It seemed like very good quality. A lot of times their stuff's out of Germany. This is Taiwan, but it's funny, Taiwan usually has better quality stuff than mainland China. Yeah, this is dual layer metallic. Looks like a good quality gasket. Make sure your mating surfaces are spotless. Mine are. I went through great lengths to clean these. I polished them up. You can see what good shape they're in. You don't want to put something together and have intake leaks. That's not good news. Now this is going to be a pain in the ass. I'm assuming it was a pain in the ass coming off, I can tell you that. Maybe it'll be better now that I got all those nuts off of the EGR. Getting it out was worse. Oh, I gotta get my gasket on there. Let me get my gasket on there first. Gotta get my gasket on those studs, the EGR gasket. I'm almost forgetting things here. No good, buddy. Don't forget the gasket. I don't know if I gave you the EGR gasket number. That is right here. That's the number for the EGR valve gaskets. These are different than the originals. I guess it's improved. The others look like those old exhaust gaskets. These are just metal. I gotta get that plenum out and get this on there. Oh, I could use 4 hands for this. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a little bit of silicone lubricant on this so it'll stick. Silicone brake parts lubricant on there so it'll stick to the back of the EGR so it doesn't fall off on me when I'm trying to go in. That'll burn right off. It's not gonna hurt anything. Trying to line up my EGR and the plenum at the same time. Alright guys, I'm not going to video all of this. This is going to be a lot of fiddly stuff and maneuvering it. I'm not going to waste your time with that. You're just going to have to do it as I'm going to have to do it. Deal with it. Pain in the ass. Just deal with it. Okay, that took some finagling, but I got that in. Now the fun part is going to be getting a nut on the back of that one stud on that EGR. That's going to be fun. I bought extra nuts just in case I lose 1 or 2. Well, I can only lose 2. I got 4 nuts. Part number on those nuts. Anybody that's got to order those nuts. I'm going to try having a little magnet on the back of my socket. See if I can get in there with that. I believe these are 10mm. Yes, they are. What did I just do with my little magnet? There it is. I try putting that right inside the socket. Good trick, huh? Good trick. So I put a small magnet. I got those real strong, I think they're natural magnets, neodymium or whatever the hell. I don't know how to pronounce it. But the higher the number, the stronger the magnet. They're great for little hard spots like this to get to. This is right behind that damn brace. Why they did this, I have no idea. Absolutely fucking retarded. Excuse my language, but it's retarded. Retarded design. Can't even tell whether my nut's biting on there or not. Feels like it might be going on. Nope, fucker ain't going on there. Try it just with the wobble extension. Put my socket down and my ratchet down. It feels like I might be crossing. I don't want to cross thread it. I can't even get a bite on that nut again now. Such a bad angle. Alright, I got the nut going on. Or did it just fall off? Just fell off, didn't it? I just lost it. I just lost the nut. Even with a magnet, I lost that son of a bitch. All right, now I just threw 3 of those little magnets in there. I can't keep losing these nuts. I think I got to try it with the universal. I'm not going to get it with this. I need a little bit shorter extension. Maybe this will work better. That with the universal, we'll try that. See if this works better. Let me take my watch off so I can get in here. So tight, such a fucking stupid design. They had to put that bracket right there. Makes no sense. Idiots. They could have put it anywhere on here. They had to do it right there. This was definitely a design flaw. I'm telling you, it took me about an hour to get this damn manifold off with this when the nuts were all frozen on there. Originally, the fucking nightmare. Let me make sure they gave me the right nuts first of all. The right nut. Where is it? I might put an old nut back there. Might go on easier, an older nut. I'm going to put that plenum bolt in there, that mounting bolt, and hold that plenum up. That'll either make it better or worse, one or the other, but there's only one way to find out is try it. Once again, I'm using those small little magnets in here. This is a horrible, horrible setup too here. They give you no room to get in here, like at all. I heard some people saying they couldn't even get in there with a ratchet. I wound up getting in there with a ratchet. You know what? I'm going to snug this plenum down. Maybe that'll help me. Can't hurt, right? Down a little bit. See if that lines it up with those brackets. Doesn't seem with the plenum loose is helping me get that EGR on, so we'll see how it is with it snugged a little bit. I'm not going to torque it down yet. I just want to keep it from moving all over the place. So hopefully I can have luck getting those back bracket bolts in. I'm assuming that most garages, when they do this job, they don't even put those bracket bolts back in. They just tighten the plenum down with these 4 fasteners and that would be it. I know that's what they do. I don't do that. When I work on a car, I don't have leftover parts. It's not biting. Gotta get my magnets back. Try it with the power ratchet on the 1/4" drive. Maybe I can get in there with that. These magnets are going to obstruct me now, aren't they? Get them down in there wide-wise, width-wise. Can't afford to lose these bolts because stuff goes down there, it goes into the netherworld. I guess they're going in the subframe because they're not coming out hitting the ground. That got it. And I didn't lose my magnets. Yay! I gotta order more of these. These are precious. These are a lifesaver, man. Get them at like 52 strength. The highest strength you can find. Alright. Now back to this bitch, our EGR. I've at least got that held in place. I may as well run that other plenum bolt in. Oh, you son of a bitch. Fucking bracket moved. Ain't that a bitch? I'll deal with that later. My main concern is getting that EGR thing on. That's going to be the hardest trial here. That was the worst part of this whole fucking job. Yeah, I'm running an old nut on here. I'm going to try running an old nut in. I think I'll have more luck. big ass magnet down there. Maybe I can. Fucker. Ah, that one hit the ground. Well, I got that son of a bitch. I did it with an older nut, but I got it. I got it. Hour and a half so far. Hour and a half on this shit. Ridiculous, right? You gotta do what you gotta do. Hardest part of the job, I'm telling you. Biggest pain in the ass. I'm glad that's over. Now I gotta fiddle diddle around with this bent bracket here, with this moved bracket. I don't know how this bracket moved. That must be what that one small bolt is for that. Come on, get out of my way. Damn hoses. That's got to go there. Looks like the bracket's springing out this way away from it, and I can't even get something in there to use like a spud wrench to straighten it. Maybe I'm just gonna have to push on it with a big screwdriver or something. Looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do. Alright, I don't want to lose my little magnets. I got them all put away. Good. Wobble. Where's my little short? I'm a freak with putting my tools back. It makes me work faster when they're neat. My little 1/4 inch extension. Or you go nuts while you're working, putting stuff down, not knowing where the hell it is. It's easier to just put it in the same place all the time. it is. All right. Now I got to try this asshole bolt again. That was a 12 mil, I believe. Alright, I gotta get a big screwdriver. See if I can move this over. Cockeyed position to try to work, and I can't even get in here and get any leverage, man. Son of a bitch. There we go. Bastard. Double checking, making sure everything's tightened up. There we go. I gotta get the torque wrench through the plenum. Don't get old, it hurts. Don't get old, die young. I meant enjoy your youth. Because when you get old, shit hurts. Sometimes you wake up just feeling like shit for no particular reason. I don't drink, so I don't have hangovers, but sometimes it feels like I do. I can't complain. My life is very good. I love my life. I'm blessed. So, but if you're young, enjoy your youth. My mother used to tell me that youth was wasted on the young. I thought that was the most ridiculous saying you could come out with. But now I understand what she meant. Young people don't appreciate how much they have with their youth, vigor, and vitality. Did I say that right? I hope so.